Today I'm going to do a book haul. I'm probably not going to be doing too many of these too often, just because I don't really have that many good used bookstores in my area. But I went to visit family in Virginia last week, and while I was there, I visited two pretty big bookstores. One was McKay's in Manassas, and the other was Second and Charles in Woodbridge. I dropped about $50. I got a crap load of books, and then I had to try to stuff them all into my carry-on, and it was a very uncomfortable trip home, but it was completely worth it. So without further ado, here is what I have taken home with me. First up, I've got The Book of Life by Deborah Harkness. It is the third book in the All Souls trilogy. I think I mentioned before that I was reading these. I was reading this in ebook form, but I got a physical copy, which was good because it meant I could read it on the plane. Because I don't really, my 7-year-old Kindle has finally died, so I don't really have a good way of reading ebooks when I'm away from my computer. So yes, Book of Life, I'm about 2/3 of the way through, and then I will, when I'm done with this, I will give you my thoughts on the whole series, but I am really enjoying it so far. Next up, I've got On the Edge by Ilona Andrews. I read the Clean Sweep books, which I really enjoyed, so I know that I like this author. This looks to be a little more sci-fi-ish, I think. It's about a woman who can move between two worlds. They got the normal world, called the Broken, because there's no magic here, and then the Edge, where there is magic, and she can move between the two of them. It looks like it's right up my alley. I really do like these kind of like urban fantasy books. So I'm looking forward to picking this one up. And in the same like vein, I've got Magic Bites by Ilona Andrews. Little more, I think, girl meets werewolf type thing. Yeah, vampires in the pack, a paramilitary clan of shapeshifters. Yeah, I've heard about these books, um, but I have not read them. I will probably like them. Yes. Eloquent. I'm so glad I started this channel. All my deepest thoughts, which I can state very clearly. Um, so I've also got Wizard and Glass, Song of Susanna, and The Wind Through the Keyhole, which are all parts of the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. I started reading The Gunslinger while I was away, and now I have almost the entire series, except for the last book I still have to keep an eye out for. Yeah, I'm not super into it so far. It's one of my good friend's favorite series, so I'm gonna keep reading it, but there's like definitely part of me that's like, this is your favorite series? Are you sure? But I'm gonna keep going with it anyways. So yeah, got 3 Dark Tower books. Next up, I've got We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. I think I've heard mixed reviews about this book, but I can't really recall. I was I was running out of like space in my bag, so I was on the fence about whether to get this or not. But then I realized it was only $1, and I'm like, what do I have to lose? Just like use of my shoulders from trying to haul these things home. But it's about this kid who's like a teenager. He's like down on his luck. He's in a kind of a bad family situation where he's got grandparents dying from Alzheimer's, and he is periodically abducted by aliens and given like a big choice to make. It seems interesting. It sounds like something I would enjoy. So yes, We Are the Ants, which is probably a reference to things people do with ants and magnifying glasses, which is grim. All these books are grim. This next one's not grim. Next book I got is Son of Neptune from the Heroes of Olympus series. It's the second book. The first book was The Lost Hero, which I read a while ago. I wanted to continue with the series, but I just kind of got distracted, so I will probably read that book just to refresh my memory before I continue on with this one. They are the sequel series to Percy Jackson, which I read these books entirely out of order, so I was kind of spoiled for Percy Jackson because I read The Last Hero first, the whole Percy Jackson series, and now I'm like kind of get back into like where I should probably be in terms of like reading order. Um, so in the first book, this kid Jason Grace wakes up with no memory of how he got where he is, and he ends up being taken to Camp Half-Blood because he is a demigod. And meanwhile, while he is there, Percy Jackson has disappeared. So the second book takes place, follows where Percy Jackson went, and you find out what he was up to. I'm assuming during the events of the first book. I'm guessing it's going to take place like concurrently. Is that the word? Next up, I've got Little Brother by Cory Doctorow. This is kind of, I'm not sure if it's really dystopian. It's like reading the book jacket, it sounds almost a little too plausible. There's this kid who is a hacker, and he was skipping school, and while he's skipping school there's a terrorist attack, and he gets kind of swept up in it. He ends up being interrogated, and then when he's released he finds that he is living in like a police state. So this sounds like the kind of terror I am into. It came out back in 2008. It sounds like it's still like kind of prescient. Yeah, this is like all too plausible just from the sound of it. I remember seeing this book around a lot when it first came out. So kind of excited to read it since clearly I missed out on it the first time around. Next up is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I'm really looking forward to this one. I read Daughter of Smoke and Bones back when that came out. I didn't continue with the series, but I really, really love Laini Taylor's writing style, so I'm really looking forward to seeing it applied to a different story that I will maybe like better. I know that BookTube in general has been going gaga for this book for as long as it's been out, which is probably, 2 years now? So yeah, I'm probably going to read this one sooner than later. I am really looking forward to it. I don't know much about it, and I kind of want to keep it that way. I kind of just want to dive right into it. So yes, Strange the Dreamer. Next up, we got Midnight Blue Light Special by Shannon Maguire, which is the second book of her Encrypted series. I have the first book, but I have not read it. These seem kind of like pulpy, like B-movie monsters in modern day Manhattan, and I'm guessing the main character is somehow in charge of trying to police this population. That would be my guess. Don't know too much about it. I don't think I need to. I love Shannon Maguire. She is one of my favorite authors. She is prolific though. She has written a lot, so I'm kind of like working my way through it, and I'm really, really excited to have new stuff from her. So, or not new, I think there are like 8 or 10 books in this series, probably. But, it's new to me. That's what's important. Alright, next up, I've got All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater. I don't know, I really, really have been wanting to read this book for a while, so I'm so happy I was able to pick it up on the cheap. I love Maggie Stiefvater. I love the Raven Cycle specifically, but I also enjoyed like the Scorpio races, and usually when I hear people talk about the Mercy Fall series, it's just to say how they didn't like them as much as the Raven Cycle. And I mean, me either, but they were also a totally different thing, and I think that sometimes they get underappreciated. So, my hot take. I realize this is a little different for her. This is more like a mystery, I guess. And I can't wait to read it. I really want more Maggie Stiefvater in my life. So this will probably also be happening soon, hopefully before the end of the year. I don't know though, we're coming up on it. So I got Last Call at the Nightshade Lounge by Paul Kruger. I tried to order this book through Amazon, but they sent me an ARC, which is uncouth. We do not sell our ARCs for money. We can swap them around, we can give them away. They're not finished products. They were given free by the publisher for usually for a review. If you keep selling them, the publisher will eventually stop giving them away. On top of which, it is generally an unfinished proof. So by turning around and selling those, you are giving an unfinished product to an unknowing purchaser, in this case me. So I returned it with a nasty note and I hadn't picked it back up. But they had it at Second and Charles. This is one of those like good things have come to those who wait, right? Yes. So if I had held on to that ARC that they sneakily sent me from this shitty second-rate bookseller, then I never would have picked this one up, and this one is signed. So, ha ha ha. So basically, this recent college graduate Bailey is unable to get a job in her field right off the bat, so she ends up working as a bartender, and somehow she gets involved in monster hunting, and the entire magic system is based on cocktails, which is awesome, because I love monster fighting, and I love magic, and I love to drink. So I'm really, really looking forward to this book. I already know I am going to love it. And we've got An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. I, again, do not know much about this book aside from that BookTube loves it, and sometimes that's enough for me. So I'm going to hang on to this. Probably not going to read it in the next, couple of months because my plate is pretty full. I've bit off way more than I can chew book-wise. You should see, my to-read shelf at large. It is gigantic. I actually just got rid of 10 or 11 books, and it is still huge. It's bigger than my I have read shelf because I tend to get rid of books fairly frequently. I only keep the ones I really, really like. So I always have more that I haven't read than I do books I have. And next, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Another one that does not sound like the kind of thing that I would normally pick up, but so many people have given it so many reviews that when I saw it in the bookstore, I went ahead and grabbed it. But it's about this reporter who is given the chance to interview this kind of older former Hollywood starlet, and she is telling her about her past romantic entanglements, from what I understand, and it just, I don't know, everyone loves it, and hopefully I will also love it. This is getting dangerous. And finally, last but not least, we have Scythe by Neal Shusterman. I know that this is about in a future where nobody dies on their own. There are, I guess, reapers who decide just arbitrarily when people are going to die as a form of population control. I'm not sure how right that is, but I know this is another book that I basically picked up on the say-so of lots of people who loved it. I picked this up because it's popular. So that was my Virginia book haul. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know if you enjoyed any of these books, if there are any others that you think I might enjoy based on this. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good one, and I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.